Hello, my name is Jan Knodel. I'm the Extension Entomologist for North Dakota State University. I'd like to acknowledge the contributions from Pat Beauzay in the Extension Entomology program. This presentation is on the brown marmorated stink bug, Halyomorpha hales. This brown marmorated stink bug was introduced into Pennsylvania in 1998 near Allentown, and as you can see from the red colored states, this has become a severe agriculture and nuisance pest in these states. And since then it's been spreading westward and getting closer and closer to North Dakota. The two most recent additions have been Iowa and Missouri. We actually had two brown marmorated stink bugs identified from North Dakota, from Fargo and Grand Forks. They came in though in packing material in a warehouse, so they haven't been confirmed out in the field, but I think it's just a matter of time until they do appear. So this presentation should help you prepare on what to look for the brown marmorated stink bug and what to do in crop pest situations. For identification, it's a fairly large stink bug. Stink bugs belong to a family called Entomology, and they kind of have a wedge shape. And this particular one, as you can see from the penny on the right, is quite big. It fills up that whole penny. They are identified by the white bands on the antenna and also the alternating white and black bands on the edge of the abdomen. There is some look-alike species that are found here in North Dakota that are native. Bronchionema quadripostulata is one of them. There's unfortunately no common name to this insect, and you could see the alternating white dark bands here on the posterior edge of the abdomen. However, the antennae lack the banding, the white banding, but it is very similar in size. This particular species is more common in the tree or horticulture type setting than it is in the field crop. For biology, we've run several models to predict whether or not they will overwinter here, and we have determined that they can overwinter here in North Dakota, and we'll probably have one generation a year. The adults overwinter in our homes and other protected places, and then they usually emerge in early May and feed for a couple of weeks and then mate and lay eggs. And you can see in the photograph here over on the right some eggs that were laid on the underside of the leaf and have hatched into the nymphs. The females are quite prolific. They'll lay up to 400 eggs per female, and they'll hatch in 3 to 7 days. The nymphs pass through 5 different instars, each lasting about a week. The nymphs typically don't have any wings, so they don't fly like the adult does. The new adults will then appear late summer, typically late July through early August, and then that will be the overwintering generation. They have a wide host range that is characteristic of most other stink bugs. They'll attack ornamental shrubs, hardwood trees, fruits. In fact, in Pennsylvania, the brown marmorated stink bug has caused an estimated $37 million to the apple industry. They're also very important in the vegetable crops, and here in North Dakota we're most concerned with soybeans and dry beans, that they could cause a problem. They use piercing, sucking mouthparts to feed on mainly the reproductive tissues of the crops. Here's some photographs showing some of the damage caused to apple. The mouth parts, when they pierce the tissue of the fruit, they inject a toxin and that particular toxin causes the browning and the necrosis of the tissue. Sometimes the damage on the face of the fruit, like in this nectarine, it will appear kind of brown. This is referred to as cat facing. And also with the overwintering and the movement of the stink bugs into the homes, this is going to be a major problem. Just like our Asian lady beetles and our box elder bugs, this particular insect has the same habits. It moves towards the homes and it tries to get inside to warm areas to overwinters. And in fact, here you can see some of the red areas. On the slide is the Asian ladybird beetle, and the green bug here is the green stink bug. The damage caused to soybean is the seed. The seeds will become very small and shriveled, and they can also vector a purple stain to the seed. In the lower right hand corner, you can see what the damage looks like in the field, where you have a shriveled up, shrunken pod. Here's some damage to sweet corn, and it also do similar damage to field corn. You can see again the seed is shriveled and shrunken and deformed. In some cases it didn't even fill. They also cause the necrosis on the leaves of corn. Now, one of the problems with these stink bugs is they affect the physiology of the plant, and it actually doesn't mature, so you have like a stay green syndrome. And this is mainly on the edge where the stink bugs appear to concentrate as they move into the field. So this will have some management implications where we may be able to treat only the edges of field for control. Some of the indirect damage from the stink bugs is that the cows will refuse the silage that is tainted with stink bugs. As the name stink bug implies, they have a gland which can emit a smelly, stinky smell, which has been referred to as a citrus-like smell. So in situations where you may have high populations of stink bugs in the corn and it gets tainted onto the silage, it could affect the cows and whether or not they will accept that silage. And then in Burke County, Pennsylvania, there was incidents last year with overheating and catching on fire because the stink bugs were clogging up the air filters of the combine. There has been quite a bit of insecticide efficacy testing done for control of brown marmorated stink bugs. And as you can see here, some of the insecticides look fairly promising, but the one that most of the entomologists recommend from the East Coast is bifenthrin, which is the Baythroid, and it had the good active ingredient and efficacy against the brown marmorated stink bug. So our current pest management recommendations for brown marmorated stink bug include, scouting those field margins and noticing when they're invading the field, and then possibly treating as soon as they start to come into the field. Our thresholds for the brown marmorated stink bug right now is the same as what we're using for our native stink bugs in soybeans. However, we find this particular insect is fairly tolerant of some of the insecticides, and multiple applications may be necessary. The immature nymphs tend to be more susceptible than the adults, and most of our insecticide products are not providing any long-term residual activity. Here's the thresholds we're currently using for stink bugs and soybeans. You can use two different techniques. You can use the drop cloth, as you see here over in the left, or you can use the standard 15-inch sweep net. The threshold for the drop cloth is only one stink bug per foot row, and for the sweep net, if you have 30-inch rows, it would be 4 stink bugs. and for less than 7 to 21 inch rows, 2 stink bugs. So what to do if you do find brown marmorated stink bug in North Dakota is we need to confirm that we have it here in North Dakota. So you need to put that specimen into alcohol, ethanol, or rubbing alcohol vial. Use a 70% solution, and then record the date and the location of where you found it and the possible host plant that you collected it off of, and then submit it to us here in the NDSU Extension Entomology for a positive identification. And one of our entomology faculty members is Dr. Dave Ryder, and he just happens to be a world expert in stink bugs. Thank you and have a good day.